And welcome. We are the Aussie Guys. We are the Aussie Guys. He's back from his vacation. Because these team previews are all recorded in advance and stuff, so this is like way out of sync. But the last three I've done, G, in your absence. You are now back. Welcome back. Mm-hmm. Cold and wintry Arctic Melbourne. Mm-hmm. He's not a happy man.
Look how I'm dressed, for God's sake.
You've got so many layers on.
Oh, man, I've had thongs, I've had shorts, I've had a tank top, a sarong across my shoulders just to, when I'm walking around. I've usually got a bloody pina colada or a mojito. I'm sitting around a pool, and now I'm stuck down here in this concrete tomb wearing long pants, 2 jackets, T-shirt. My God.
But you're talking NFL, so,
I'm talking NFL.
It evens out.
It warms my heart.
That's right. That's
Even though
right.
the external's cold.
And it's got to warm your heart. Well, probably not to talk Patriots, to be honest, but as a Falcons fan, I'll put that in context. But we've got Thom Marriott on the line, and he is a great dude. We chat to him. Oh, man, this could be, 4th year maybe, Tom? I don't know. He's the host of the Across the Pond NFL podcast. He's a good mate of ours. He's in a few leagues with us as well. And, Tom, it's fantastic to chat to you again, our annual Patriots preview.
Tommy.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me back again. I can't really top that intro from G there, to be honest.
Hey, mate, well, you're in the middle of a bit of a heat spell over there. You should have a pair of shorts on, tank top.
Yeah, shorts, thongs. I'm all good. I'm all good. It's like Bali here.
How's the pasty white skin going?
I'm working on it. Working on it.
Nice. Do you go out in the sun much, you English? Because I know, like you were just saying that people get sent home at 28 degrees, which is, in summer in Australia, you'd be home every day. But how do you guys go handling, what is it? It's in the 30s, like mid to high 30s, isn't it? It's been?
Yeah, it is. But classic English, though, people just go crazy, go outside, don't put suntan lotion up, and and then just look like a lobster for a week.
I tell you what works really well, baby oil. Chuck your baby oil on. Just a hint.
I'll try that podcast.
To fry.
Yeah, or
fry yourself.
maybe just raw butter.
Oh.
It's about the same thing.
Oh, my goodness. Well, look, we've got a slight problem in this neck of the woods because we've got a hole in our ozone layer. So if we go out without sunscreen on, we just get absolutely fried. And it takes no time at all. 5 minutes, maybe, You get burnt fast.
Here you do.
Yes.
Because, I have a friend, Tom, we spoke quickly off air, and, mate, she always had to go when she was here about our heating. Because everybody over there we call it hydraulic heating. You call it panel heating, or I don't know what you guys call it. But, mate, she said you don't really have air conditioning like we have here. So everybody really suffers when the heat comes around.
Oh yeah, there's just zero air conditioning in places because we don't need it.
Yep.
But obviously, typically this year we've just had a crazy summer, and obviously everywhere just sells out of fans just instantly. Just again, classic English, overreacting to everything.
Well, hey, let's talk. Look, it's exciting now. Training camps are underway. NFL's not far off. Let's talk New England Patriots. And
Let's do it.
Tom, it's like, do we ever have... the Patriots off-season, and I haven't written everything down because I started writing things down and it just goes on and on and on. It's like there's been this drama-filled off-season, but at the same time, I wonder how much of it is real. Like, some of it may not be real at all. It might just be media narrative. I don't know. You might have an opinion on that, but I'll throw a few things in the ring and then you can rant if you feel like, or whatever. So obviously the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl to the Eagles, and I guess the big storyline from that loss, apart from the fact that the two teams racked up a NFL record number of points, which if you're the loser isn't as impressive as if you're the winner. If you're the loser, what that means is, Matt Patricia has gone on to a head coaching role at the Lions, but that Patriots D really let him down in the Super Bowl. So that's really like the big story there. The whole Malcolm Butler thing, we still don't know what that was about. Jimmy G obviously traded. The Josh McDaniels drama with the Titans. So obviously there's some sort of conversation that's gone on about what? Colts, I'm sorry. Why did I say Titans? There's obviously some sort of conversation that's gone on in regards to perhaps him being, I don't know that they would, I don't know he'd be guaranteed, but there being a possibility of him perhaps staying on, and then when Tom decides to hang him up, then maybe Bill does, and then maybe McDaniels gets the gig. There's the whole thing in the offseason with Gronk, like will he retire, won't he retire? There were rumours of a bit of a strained relationship between Brady and Belichick, or just Belichick sort of, are the Patriots, is the whole locker room getting tired of
I don't think it's a rumour.
Bill Belichick full stop? And then Julian Edelman, the 4 games and out for the PED suspension. So there's a lot. I'm sorry, I've bundled a whole lot of stuff in there, but it's not my fault. I mean, the Patriots have just been, all this stuff has gone on. So do you want to talk about some of those?
Do it. Firstly, is the great thing about being a Patriots fan is, apart from winning, is got to throw that in there.
Yeah,
I mean, all those things you listed there, if that was any other team, each one of those would have been such a big drama. But New England do such a great job of just squashing these, not talking about them. And eventually people just get bored. And I think the media just try to make it bigger than it actually is. And I think every single thing he said, honestly, I think most New England fans aren't really that concerned. But I think this year, I think it's clear that the relationship between Tom and Bill, there probably is a little bit of strain now. I mean, that's just pretty undeniable now. And that's the only one I think that people are a little bit concerned about. The Gronk thing, I think it's just about money. I think the Butler in the Super Bowl, it was obviously a big shock. I couldn't believe it that he wasn't playing. But again, you just trust in Bill. I know it didn't work, but he's done crazy things before that have worked. And I mean, I don't want to harp on, I'm not going to kick Butler as he went out the door, but he wasn't as good as I think people said he were. So the actual part about him leaving the team doesn't really concern me. I mean, I still would have obviously liked him to play the Super Bowl, but him going isn't a massive concern. The Josh McDaniels, I mean, let's face it, everyone likes having a bit of making the Colts look a bit of a mockery, to be honest. So I think that was a little bit naughty of us and Josh, how that got handled. But I think underlining, he's probably going to be the head coach in the future. But again, New England just refused to talk about it, so it's never going to be confirmed. And Matt Patricia leaving, I liked Matt. I think in terms of we got to the Super Bowl, we did really well with him as a defensive coordinator. But we were never really classed as a great defense, yet on the stats, we always looked like we were really good, and we got good when it mattered. We'll see how he favours as a head coach. I'm not too sure how that's going to go. But we all know that Belichick usually plays a big hand in the defense over anything anyway. So I think when Brian Flores comes in, I don't think there's going to be a drastic change in personnel.
Hey, can we just talk about the Malcolm Butler thing? Let's okay, you're not too concerned that he left the building, but you're in a Super Bowl. Your defense can't stop a thing. And Malcolm Butler, he played one snap, and that was on special teams. Every other player on that roster got game time in the secondary, and he gets one snap. Like, seriously, like Brady's throwing for 500 plus goddamn yards. He must be looking at Bill going, mate, we train our asses off. I give you everything, and you're not giving us the best opportunity for us to win this game by leaving one. And let's face it, he's one of your best 2 or 3 guys standing over there, clothed, ready to play, and he doesn't even step on the field, except for that one. You got to be pissed. You have to be, as the quarterback. And even the other players must look at him and just go, mate, we give everything. We put our lives on the line. We've seen what happened to Ryan Shazier. This could happen to us on any player. And what are you doing? You just being Belichick.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was annoyed. I've got over it. I just think it's one of them things where we're never going to know the true reason. There has to be something that's gone off. I can't believe that it's just Belichick being Belichick, because that almost feels too far for Bill. there has to be something that's gone off. And I just don't think we'll ever find out. I just really don't, because Bill will refuse to talk about it. So I just think it's one of them great questions that there might be a documentary on it in 30 years' time.
The strained relationship, we're going to go through the team preview, but this is all, mate, you got your...
Oh, yeah.
Arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, now not seeing eye to eye, and this might have been going on for a couple of years, but, mate, we've seen what happened when players have left the building in the last 12 months. People have been, other players have been twittering out saying, oh, you're free, you know, obviously, like, you escaped the prison, you jumped the wall, you made it on the motorbike, unlike Steve McQueen did. You know, so obviously it must grate on you the type of person that he is, the way things are structured. Okay, it's a job, and you get paid very well for doing it, but there must come a point where I just can't take... What is it? How long have they been together? Is it 15 years, maybe more? Mm-hmm. It must. And I think a lot of it has to do with the guru fitness guy that Brady likes to use? Would have a bit to do with it, because Bill won't have him near him, and then Gronk started to do the same sort of deal this year.
Yeah, it's Alex Guerrero, the TB12. Yeah, that's. I think that's just a major part, because obviously Tom has started to use Alex for everything, for like their strength and conditioning, everything to do with that, and he's just gone away from the team. And then obviously Bill has stripped Alex of his like credentials when he flies with him and things like that. And it really is one of them things where, because Belichick and the Patriots have set this system where everybody's the same, no matter if your name's Brady or if it's a 6th round draft pick. Well, coincidentally he is, but you know what I mean. I think everyone's treated the same. So if the rest of the team are using the strength and conditioning, the fitness program that the Patriots have set up and paid for, then so should Tom. But then if you allow Tom to go away from it, then what does that let everyone else do it? Then it becomes a bit of a free ride, really, going where you want. So I sit in between, really, because it's clearly making Tom play as good as he ever has, play longer, but again, it's causing a bit of a strain. And Belichick just will not change. We've seen it. Like, the guy, he won't accept it. It doesn't matter that it's Tom Brady. And that is the biggest strain, I think, the Alex Guerrero situation. I mean, money, yeah, okay. Gronk, I think, was a bit about money. I don't think Tom Brady's massively concerned about getting paid, whether it's 20 or 25 a year. That doesn't really matter to him. But the Alex Guerrero stuff is just, I really think that is huge. And of course, it's, I think from the outset, it looks like Tom's starting a bit of a career away from football, which, to be fair to him, he probably is. And also, I can't really blame him. But there is a bit of a strain there. But I like to believe, I've been a Patriots fan all my life, and I've maybe not seen this drastic drama, but they'll do what they need to do.
And, you know, you raised a good point about if it was any other team in the NFL, then, you know, the headline would be different and fans might feel different as well. Because let's just put it in context and give you your props, because the Patriots have been one of the most dominant teams in the NFL of the period of the last 15 years. And you've got Tom Brady, who's like recently voted number one on the NFL player list and you know, is in the conversation, strongly in the conversation for the greatest of all time, and Bill Belichick is as well. And, you know, honestly, will we see a franchise once this all wraps up? Will we see a franchise be as dominant ever again like this? I don't know, but the off season is a head scratcher, because, you know, we could be talking about the Cleveland Browns. Have the Browns had this much stuff going on? You know, honestly, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think as well, you were saying how long that Bill and Tom have worked together. That's, for player and coach, that isn't normal in the NFL, for two people to work together for this long and also to be at the level they've been at. And for 17 years, there's been barely any drama. And then this year, there's been this bit. So I think there comes a point when obviously someone's message, i.e. Bill, becomes a little bit lost. It's a 17-year message. And obviously, Tom's been there all that time. Is he a little irritated? Maybe. Is he getting bored of the shtick? Maybe he is, but I can't see why an 18th year is going to be different to the 17th year just because there's a little bit of love lost there. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the off-season. I mean, no, we have been. But let's talk about free agency in the draft. I mentioned something interesting to you when we were off air, and G said, hey, hit record and stop wasting all our very good points. So just recently we put out our Eagles pod. When we were talking to Les Bowen about the Eagles, he raised something that was really interesting. We mentioned Julio Jones. He's back in camp. G, you'll know. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. The wide receiver position in the NFL is not one that is critical to success. Like, having a marquee wide receiver, elite wide receiver, doesn't necessarily win you crucial games, you know. Obviously, the person under center is the most important person. Ask any Browns fan. But it's kind of interesting because when you look at this Patriots wide receiver core, and I'll just go through, because G's going to talk about wide receivers. I'm sorry, I'm stealing you.
You do this every time.
I know I do. But the Patriots wide receiver, it was interesting because when we were talking to Les, I suddenly thought, you know what, the Patriots have been doing this for years, where you look at their wide receiver core on paper, and you might look at it and say, well, Gronk's there. You know, and in previous years, you might have gone, oh, where's Welker? But there hasn't been... Randy Moss, many years ago. But that's how long the Patriots have been dominant, and they haven't necessarily done it with a, elite wide receiver core. You know, it's often been...
Well, they didn't win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss.
No.
Even with the year that they had with him.
Yeah, my word.
So there you go.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I think we've probably said it before on the podcast about bringing in Brandon LaFell that year. Like, it doesn't jump off the page, but it's a system. And I think when the money's dispersed throughout the whole team and you've got depth everywhere, it shows when it gets down to the playoffs. And that's something Philadelphia had. I mean, the depth they had was just insane across the board. And I think when you've got someone like, for example, Julio Jones that Gino's, like, when you've got him at a rookie deal, it's great. But once you have to start paying these guys the big bucks, then that's when you have to start cut corners elsewhere. And that's where the Patriots, so for someone like Butler, I mean, he signed for, 5 years, $60 million with Tennessee? I mean, there was just zero chance that the Patriots were going to keep him. And I know that's cornerback, we're talking about receiver, but it's a similar thing. Like, the Randy Moss was just a bit of an anomaly. Like, we got him on a cheap deal. He wanted out. He came to us to win a Super Bowl, had a career year. But I think you look at, like, Wes Welker, once he wanted a little bit more money, we got rid. Amendola, he wanted a bit more money. He kept taking pay cuts. We got rid. And we just bring in guys and they just fit the bill. We don't bring people in to get 1,000 yards. It's just to fill a position.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because that sort of flows with the theme of free agency in the draft, because, okay, out of the building, obviously we mentioned Malcolm Butler. Danny Amendola, gone. Brandon Cooks, gone to the Rams via trade. Dion Lewis, gone. Nate Solder, gone. Martellus Bennett, retired. James Harrison and Shea McClellan, linebackers, both retired. And the guys that get added, it's not a list that jumps off the page. I mean, Jordan Matthews, Jeremy Hill, Adrian Claiborne, who we'll talk about later, but I mean, we recently did our Cowboys preview. He had a game where he sacked Dak Prescott 6 times in one game. And apart from that, he was just kind of all year. Probably the biggest add, Danny Shelton, really, because your run D hasn't been any good. Also got Jason McCourty via trade with the Browns and Cordarrelle Patterson. But a total of 17... I couldn't believe it. I had to count them a couple of times. A total of 17 draft pick trades, like either trading for picks or players or a combination of both. But free agency first, Tom, what were your thoughts? I mean, it's not sort of like a really exciting list.
No, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we do this every year, don't we? Like, Patriots lose quite a lot of guys that on paper you look at and think, wow, like, this could be the year the Patriots are going to start losing. And you look at the list they bring in, sometimes it's great, sometimes it looks like it's okay. And I'll be honest, this year, it doesn't sort of jump off the page and make you excited. But I think you look at someone like Cordarrelle Patterson. Last year we struggled with our special teams. And I think, okay, he's technically going to be a wide receiver, and in camp apparently he's playing okay. But he's going to help tremendously on that. It doesn't jump off the page, but it helps massively for us. Malcolm Mitchell is going to be returned. Jordan Matthews, I think he's a guy that he's never lived up to his potential, but he's going to have a chance in the slot for us, especially with Julian Edelman suspended for 4 games. And it's not about him getting, like I said before, getting 1,000 yards. If he can just chip in while Julian's away. Adrian Claiborne, I appreciate what you say. That I mean, he probably is a little overrated, especially with those blown out stats where they got 6 in one game. But considering what we had at pass rush, he's just he's almost like a superstar coming into Foxborough because barring Trey Flowers and Dietrich Wise did really well last year considering he was a rookie and he played every game. Adrian Claiborne is just instantly he must feel like a god because I was so excited him coming in, and then once I really read into it, watched some old, I started to think, well, he's not as good as I thought, but he's way better than anything we've got. Helping out on the defensive backs, obviously losing Butler. I think Jason McCourty is a nice addition. We spent a bit of time in the draft as well, bringing some guys in. Again, on paper, I probably think we look probably a little worse than we did last year. But again, I think players like, I suppose we're going to get onto it with the draft, but bringing in someone like Sony Michel and Isaiah Wynn, that is really exciting.
Yeah, let's talk the draft because now I must confess it doesn't excite me incredibly. Apart from Isaiah Wynn, good. But the most exciting pick is the Sony Michel pick. That pick. But I'm not going to take G's Thunder. He's looking at me like, oh, don't you do it? Because he'll talk. He's a massive Sony Michel fan too. So he will talk him up in a second. But when I was looking down the draft board in general, one of the big needs, we'll talk more when we get to defense, but one of the biggest needs for the Patriots is run D. Like their run D is just incredibly awful. And they didn't pick any D linemen whatsoever, which was a shock. A couple of linebackers, that's sort of all right, I guess, and a couple of defensive backs. It just kind of feels a bit all over the place. But, yeah, anyway. What were your thoughts on draft as a whole, Tom?
That's probably what you just said was my only concern, that we just literally didn't get anybody for that position. But I think leading up to the draft, the whole talk about the Patriots was 2 first-rounders, going to trade into the top 5, going to get a quarterback, going to finally get the new Tom Brady, and so on, so what. Whereas I was just praying that we would stay put and just get 2 absolute surefire starters who will be there, hopefully, for the rest of the career. And I was so pleased they did it. Bringing in Isaiah Wynn, okay, it's not a sexy pick, but I think the fact that he can be penciled in at left tackle to compete with Trent Brown, who we brought in, but Isaiah Wynn's a little small for left tackle, so he can play left guard. Especially we've got a couple of free agents coming up who possibly will be leaving, so Isaiah Wynn's going to definitely start this year and next year, guaranteed. But Sony Michel, I'm so excited. Like, it's rare as a Patriots fan that you get to see someone like Sony Michel join through the draft, because so used to the Patriots just trading out the first round, not going after like a real superstar talent. And Sony Michel, I can't believe he was there right at the bottom of the first round. That's just, I just couldn't believe it. It's so exciting.
Gee.
Oh, he pointed at me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So let's go offense. So we've already touched on Tom Brady, obviously, which I've just written down here to go. To me, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. The things that he's made,
accomplishments.
I thought, what he did to my Falcons is just, with the help of our defense, that, just didn't fall apart. But as I said at the time, when you are like that in the first half and you start playing it safer in the second half, Tom Brady only needs that half a step, that you give him, and he'll hit it. He'll just destroy you with accurate passes. So I've just written down here, like, the end is nigh. The trading of Jimmy G. We spoke about the divide between Brady and Belichick. So I'm just going to let you go, mate. So how about we talk about? Do we really need to talk about Brady?
Probably not.
We probably don't. We know what he is. Is this? We all know he's coming to the end, obviously. If they win a Super Bowl this year, I don't think they will, but could that be the last year for Tom Brady? And just the trading of Jimmy G, which to me is, you got Brian Hoyer. Oh, God, you better hope Brady doesn't go down. And you got the young guy you drafted in the 7th round out of LSU in Danny Etling. So just speak about the quarterback room as it stands at the moment, Tom.
In terms of backups, it might be one of the worst backups in the NFL. Danny Etling, 7th round. I like the guy, but he's 7th round for a reason. Brian Hoyer, I think, as bad as he is, in terms of if you ask him to play 10 games, I think he offers, this is all based on Tom Brady not getting injured. I think Brian Hoyer is fantastic to be there. He's really good friends with Tom. He knows the offense. He's great for the locker room, but I appreciate you bring him in to be a player, and he isn't good enough. Tom Brady, I think, Super Bowl or not, I think the guy's probably going to play for another 2 or 3 years, which is just insane to even probably say that. Jimmy G, I think that was probably Belichick being the nicest he's ever been to somebody. We usually see him trading players to really bad teams, bad situations. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo probably couldn't believe it. Getting traded to an up-and-coming team, a good offense, an amazing head coach, just a young guy. That team, I mean, he looked out for him big time there, and obviously send him to a different conference. But any team that's got Tom Brady on, I mean, I'm happy.
Problem is, you had someone who could run your offense if Brady goes down. Now, Brady goes down, just might as well pack up the tents, mate, and go home.
True. Well, yeah, but we've got Jeremy Hill, though, to run the ball.
We could talk about running back. We've gone that way, so we'll talk about running backs. Okay, so it's ciao to Dion Lewis. After the season that he gave you too, which was extraordinary to see that in the end, everybody talks about the Patriots and you never know what they're going to do, and they share the ball around the backfield, and you never, like fantasy-wise, you're like, who the hell do you start? But in the end, mate, you started Dion Lewis because he was getting he was toting the rock. Some games he's getting 20 carries a game, which is pretty much unheard of. I know LeGarrette Blount probably pounded a few 20 carry games, just usually at the end or when they got down to into the red zone. But you say so, you get rid of him and you bring in Jeremy Hill. Like, mate, it's like for like, isn't it? Almost. But the rest of your running back core consists of Burkhead, who can't stay healthy, James White, who's got to the point now is every time he comes on the field, you're pretty much giving away basically what you're going to do. You have Mike come on and finish your run, Gillisley. Did you see the footage of him at the OTAs or one of the mini camp where they do like the jump across the I don't know what they are, those mats they put on the ground?
Yeah.
And he just didn't finish, and the running back coach just threw his arms up in the air, and just he's not long there really. And you got Brandon Bolden, who's, for someone who doesn't carry the ball, mate, he's made a very good career for himself at the Pats. And then when you draft, as we said, Sony Michel out of Georgia, the only concern with me is he's never had, I think 16 or 17 is the most carries he's ever had in a game. But the dude is a big game player. When the lights are turned on at the biggest moment,
wow,
mate, he turns up, and that's a sign of a guy that can. Well, we saw what Deshaun Watson's the same sort of guy. When the spotlight's on, he's shone. And you also grabbed another guy out of. Well, you didn't grab him in the draft. You got him an undrafted free agent out of Vanderbilt, and that's Ralph Webb. I think he was the all-time leader in Russia with 4,178 yards and 32 TDs. Now, his senior year was a bit riddled by injuries, so his numbers dropped a little bit. So most of those came in the first 3 years. So just, mate, there's a few guys there. Obviously, they're not all going to make it. Who stays, who goes, who's running the rock, who's sharing, who's catching the ball out of the backfield?
Randomly, I will start with Ralph Webb. I'm glad you brought him up. I think he looks such a diamond. He really does. And obviously, just bringing him in for nothing, there's nothing to lose. I think he could really make the team. Mike Gillisley, like you said, he might as well pack his bags now. There's no way he's making it. Brandon Bolden, he's on the depth chart. He's a running back, but the guy is an absolute stud on special teams.
Yep.
That's the only reason why he plays for us for so long. Jeremy Hill, I think he'll get a chance. Again, he's not going to be the guy that will be the main running back and carry it 20 times a game. But as always with the Patriots running back situation, and like you were saying earlier about not spending so much money and getting crazy talent on wide receivers, I think it's almost similar on running backs. I mean, if you just generally group up the running backs and wide receivers of Patriot teams for the last 10, 15 years, the depth is just crazy. And okay, there might never be an absolute star there, but injury aside, Rex Burkhead is so impressive. James White, I get what you're saying, but he's a great player. He knows the system so well. Jeremy Hill, we'll see what he can do. Sony Michel, I mean, I think at worst the guy's just going to be a good player for his career. I mean, I'm even tempted to say the very worst he could be is very good. Ralph Webb, hopefully he'll make it. I would like one more guy there. To be honest, I think Sony Michel's brought in to do a real big job for us. So I'm not concerned with our running backs. I think I like the look of it. And letting Lewis go, yeah, again, it's like Butler. You wouldn't want him to leave, but he signs a big contract. There's no way we're going to pay it. We bring in Sony Michel on a rookie deal, and we save money elsewhere. Falk retired, Woodhead, Vereen, they've all left and they'll get replaced. So unfortunately, it's a brutal league like that. But I like our running backs. I would like one more, but I still like it.
Yeah, I think with Ralph Webb, I'm pretty sure you've given him a fair bit of coin too for someone who's an undrafted free agent. So that's a pretty good sign that they like what they've seen. Yeah,
we have. I mean, I think there was probably, out of all the running backs left to sort of pick up, I think he was the star. And you could tell that there was quite a few teams sniffing around. And I think the Patriots, like you say, just really like what they see. And they probably knew deep down that Gillislee is just not going to be there. Hill isn't the Jeremy Hill that we all sort of expected 3 or 4 years ago. So why not bring in Webb? I think he'll make the team. And I mean, as well, Lewis in the Super Bowl and the AFC title game, he only rushed for something like 70 yards combined. And you're talking about like the biggest stage. Now I know there's obviously other bits go into that where we're having to throw the ball a lot, and Lewis was an injury concern as well. So having Lewis and Burkhead, you've got 2 injury concerns. You kind of got rid of one.
Okay, so the wide receiving core, AJ's already mentioned the people that have walked out the door. So Jordan Matthews, as AJ said, he comes in and really he's to this point has shown nothing more than just being a guy. Edelman's coming off a torn ACL. Mate, we don't really need to talk about it, and we know exactly the role that he plays and the player that he is. And, mate, tough. Anybody that plays the position that he does, the way that he plays it, mate, is just...
tough as nails.
Yeah. So you got Chris Hogan, who's the sometime go-to deep guy. Cordero Patterson. Now, maybe Belichick can work it all out and, figure out how to use this bloke. You got Malcolm Mitchell. So... Mate, he looked all right, and then he had, pretty much missed all of last season with knee issues. Mate, there's a chance that he might not even make the 53. I even read an article. I didn't see the article, just saw the headline, so correct me if I'm wrong, something about, mate, possibly trade talk about him. Then you've also got Philip Dorsett, Kenny Britt, a few other guys you might want to mention, but maybe Braxton Berrios, who you drafted, someone who might be plays that sort of slot role that might be the next Julian Edelman they're looking at. But when you look at this list, it could be one of the worst receiving cores that Brady's ever had.
Yeah, I agree. I think the confidence that Patriots fans have is that it's maybe not to this extent, but it's happened before where you look at it and you kind of pull a face and think, really? How's Brady going to throw for 4,500 yards to these receivers? But he always seems to manage it. I think we've never really had to lean on somebody like Braxton Berrios coming in as a 6th round pick before, but I think he's going to get more playing time than people think. And there is a lot of coin flips there. I mean, you're asking for Kenny Britt, Dorsett, Patterson and Jordan Matthews to all have a bit of a career turn, and that's a big gamble on 4 guys. Chris Hogan, I love Chris Hogan, and he's never going to be a true number 1, but he's going to have to play very close to being a number 1 in this system because of, especially with Edelman out. He's and also in terms of like Tom Brady's connections, I mean, it's well documented about how he does training camps with the receivers and things like that. And there's only Hogan left. I mean, obviously Edelman, but he's out for 4 games. And you're going to have to rely on Edelman to be a huge part after an ACL injury. So we don't know how confident Julian's going to be when he comes back. But don't get me wrong, it does concern me. But once again, I know it's a cliche, but there's a reason why they're here. There's a reason why Bill's not gone crazy in the draft. I still think there's probably one guy to add in. But, yeah, overall, I'm looking at it right now. It does concern me.
Yeah, I'm just putting numbers alongside him. Like, Jordan, mate, at best a number 3 guy.
Yeah.
Edelman, you give him a number 2 just because of what he's done, and he just probably scrape into a number 2. Hogan's a 3. Patterson, mate, he's lucky if he's a 4. Mitchell's a 4. Dorsett, yeah, same. Kenny Britt, same. Mate, it's just, yeah, as outside of Edelman, who's you're lucky to scrape in to be a 2, you are really putting a lot of pressure on your quarterback.
Yeah, as always with Tom. But Yeah, I'm just trying to be positive. I think
Yep.
the reason why...
That's right. We're here to shoot you down, mate, because you're a Patriot.
That's fine. Now, the reason why I'm hopeful, if you will, is just because Bill's chosen this. I don't think he would have chosen these names just for a laugh, and even if he was concerned, I think he'd have done something about it. I still think there's probably, like I say, room for manoeuvre. You are right, there is rumours about Malcolm Mitchell being used as trade bait, but I don't know how much trade bait he's going to be if he's coming off not playing for a year. I can't see us getting much back for him. But no, and Bill will probably grab a 5th round pick or something daft like that. But I think the good thing in terms of playing other teams is I think everyone else is not concerned for the Patriots, but more of a, why are the Patriots so confident in this group? And how do we, I don't know, people don't know how we're going to line up. I think Patterson's going to get a real shot at starting. I really do, just because I think they want to try and give him that chance to get that talent out. Don't get me wrong, I'm pulling a face as I'm saying it, but... But yeah, I'm literally looking at the entire roster here. That is probably the one positional group that does concern me.
Well, the one that doesn't, obviously, is the tight end. You know, like, if there's ever been a number one, mate, he is the number one, probably tight end. He'll probably go down as the greatest tight end to play. Adrian's looking at me because he's a
big call. Well, the tight end in the modern era has been a bit different, and you could certainly say that Gronk has redefined the position. That's a fair statement.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to say, look, do we really need to talk about Gronk? Probably from the point of view is, I think the rumours of him wanting to retire, I don't think they are rumours. I think he really contemplated the fact that he was going to retire. And you'd probably find that if they did win the Super Bowl, mate, that might have been his last year. Would you agree or disagree?
I'll disagree, but I'm not strong on that. I do see what he doesn't seem like a guy that's in it for the legacy. I think he was in it to have fun, to get some money, and the fact that he fell into the Patriots and he could also win Super Bowls has just added to that. But of course, he's not a guy like Danny Amendola for years where he's going to take a pay cut. He just wants the money, and I think if the Patriots can restructure it and give him quite a lot up front for the next couple of years, knowing that he might retire, I think both parties will be quite happy with that.
All right, so let's look at the O-line. And AJ said as Nate Solder walks out the door, he's had Brady's back for quite some time now, so he moves down the road a little bit. Now he's got Eli Manning's back. And so, it lines up like this. You got David Andrews in his 4th season, Shaq Mason in his 4th season, and he's in the final year of his contract, so he might not be there next season because Bill doesn't like paying people. Joe Thuney, he's in his 3rd season. He missed OTAs in minicamp after having foot surgery. Marcus Cannon's in his 8th season. Trent Brown's in his 4th. He's first with the Patriots. And Von Miller's come out and said he's probably the best right tackle in the NFL.
Oh, really?
And then, as he spoke about with the draft of Isaiah Wynn, who can play both tackle and guard, and probably more than likely could win the Nate Solder position. So, look, you've got guys that have been together, so they have continuity. They're going to need it this year because, as you know, Brady's that 1 year older. And with this receiving core, Brady might need all that experience and that half a second more to find somebody. So how does the A-line look to you?
I couldn't put it better myself. I think it's I'm really confident in that line. Yeah, Nate Solder leaving's not great, but as you said, Patriots weren't going to pay him that money. But to bring in Trent Brown, who's got amazing potential, people talk about him that he's a great, like say, right tackle, Von Miller. It's all hearsay, but the guy's an absolute tank. And Isaiah Wynn is pretty much the opposite. He's a bit of a smaller dude, but I think that'll be a really good battle between them who gets the left tackle position. But everywhere else, there's a lot of continuity. I agree, Shaq Mason, I can almost guarantee he won't be a Patriot for after this year. But I think even like backups, Adrian Waddle's been a Patriot for a number of years. Isaiah Wynn technically is listed as a backup at the moment. Ted Karras has been there a couple of years. They brought in Matt Tobin, Luke Bowanko. I'm not blown over by him, but he's experienced. So I think that's one of our strongest groups. I really do.
Now, just in the background, before I go on, sorry, you're just about to talk, weren't you, mate? So
Yes.
Every now and then I hear this bip go off in the background. Now, I know it's been hot in England. Do you all have like a monitor in your house that everybody that drops because of the heat, everybody gets the little bip goes off?
No, it's next door's got an alarm problem.
Oh, no.
Someone's just breaking in, but Tom's, no, I'm not checking, mate. I'm doing a pod with the Aussie guys.
Not a chance.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the defense and some stuff we touched on already. I said, so the Patriots were the second worst team in the league when it came to stopping the run. Like, we were talking about Matt Patricia and, you know, that whole thing that him going to be a head coach at the Lions. I mean, it's not like the Patriots D has been... It's funny because the Patriots have often had a D which has been up at the top or near the top of the highest point-scoring Ds in the league, for example. But they've been all over the place, stat-wise, really. So second worst team in the league last year stopping the run. So in that sense, the addition of Danny Shelton was a fantastic one, coming into the building. You throw him into the mix with Malcolm Brown, who I'm a big fan of, Lawrence Guy, Adam Butler, and obviously you signed Adrian Claiborne and you add him to, say, Trey Flowers, and you spoke about Dietrich Wise already. And a lot of people forgetting about Derek Rivers, who tore his ACL during training camp last year. So he's coming back. So all that combined, and the Patriots, I mean, I say that about the run D, but they were the 10th best pass rushing unit in the league. So it's really kind of a funny mix, isn't it? But that line on paper looks like it should be much better.
Yeah, that's probably the most improved part of the Patriots team in the offseason. Like I say, Danny Shelton coming in to complement Malcolm Brown, that's such a good tandem. And that allows people like Lawrence Guy and Vince Valentine, who last season they were asked to be starters, and they're good rotational players, they're good players, but they're not starters, and they were getting judged on being a starter when they're not. So when they come in for situational plays and things, they should excel. You're right, Derek Rivers that's a real intriguing one. That is, I've got a lot of confidence in him. But that, and then like I say, Trey Flowers now gets a little bit more breathing room because Adrian Claiborne's going to be the other side. Dietrich Wise isn't asked to be playing 90% of snaps in his second year. And I think it looks like a really good unit now. And of course, Dante Hightower coming back. But I think most Patriot fans know that the guy just can't play 16 games. But We'll see how that goes. He's supposed to be fully healthy, so we'll see how that goes from there. But in terms of pass rush doing quite well last year, I think a lot of that was down to our secondary was really good, so they had more time. But I think with the Patriots, the stats are so skew-whiffed. They're all over the place. It's hard to, especially on defense, I think, because they're so situational. Like, when the game matters, the Patriots defense plays well, obviously barring the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at the defense. Certainly, I can agree with you 100%. The D-line does look to be the most improved unit on the defense. The linebackers, you mentioned Dante Hightower coming back. And I'm not the biggest Kyle Vanoy fan, and he might be your best linebacker, you know, really. And he's, in a way, I think he's just sort of average. So, and then behind those two guys, I don't know that there's sort of anyone very impressive. And it certainly did draft a couple of linebackers, one in the 5th, one in the 6th. Jawan Bentley in the 5th and Christian Sam in the 6th. I can't honestly say I know much about either of those guys, I'm afraid. So the linebacker core looks like a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, it's pretty thin, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if Hightower plays like he should, then he's one of the best. I really like Kyle Van Noy for what he does. I think last year he was asked to do a lot with Hightower not there. Marquise Flowers, Landon Roberts are good players. Again, last year they were asked to be almost starters, and they're just not starters. Bringing in Christian Sam and Bentley, they're not going to be asked to do too much. I think Bill taking them in the 5th and 6th round was almost a bit of a flyer. They're not going to be asked to play a lot. They're going to be more situational for their certain expertise. But it's a weak group on the defense. I think pass rush has improved. The defense tackle looks really strong. Safety, cornerbacks are really strong. But if you had to have a weakness, then it's clearly the linebacker. I can't deny it.
Oh, yeah, and there is a growing trend in the NFL that, you know, if you're going to be weak anywhere, be weak in the middle, you know, because if you're weak at the line or you're weak at the back, you pay the price. You can be weak in the middle because you can always play nickel. You can have 5 defensive backs on the field. And I mean, that's something the Patriots can easily do. They've got Patrick Chung and Jason McCourty on the outside. In the inside, and then you've got Devin McCourty and Stephon Gilmore. It's a really good defensive backfield.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's one of the best I've seen. To be fair, obviously Butler losing's he would play in this team, but the depth is pretty crazy. I mean, Jason McCourty is strong. Patrick Chung just gets better with age. Devin McCourty is one of the best safeties, but then also, I mean, Gilmore is just unbelievable. But Eric Rowe, Cyrus Jones this is a big year for him. See how he goes. But there's just Jonathan Jones. There's just depth now. And then we also brought in J.C. Jackson, who is just apparently he's doing really well in preseason. So it's a strong group for us. It really is. And like you say, linebacker, I don't think it's as important as it used to be, which I was shocked why Hightower got so much money a few years ago. But we all know what Bill's like. During the season, he'll do some wheeling and dealing. He always picks up a couple of linebackers, and I think we'll be fine, but it is the weakest area.
Let's think about... I'm interested to hear how you think the Patriots are going to go. I don't think I'm going to be surprised by the answer. But the AFC East is such a weird division. You feel like the Jets and the Bills are almost just getting set for post-Brady era. And the Dolphins have got all sorts of issues. They're all over the joint. So it sort of feels like the Patriots should easily win the East, in my mind. And if you win, and the AFC also, so I mean, playing into this whole narrative, the AFC is weak. Like, honestly, how many teams are really going to challenge in the AFC? I mean, the Jags, the Steelers are always competitive. The Chargers look like they might make a bit of a push this year and be competitive. But there's not too many, are there?
No, there's not. Nobody's made that big push and brought in a ton of free agents or done something crazy in the draft. I mean, the Jets getting Sam Darnold, or should I say, falling to them. I think they're just waiting, really, for the Brady era. Miami, who knows what's been going off in Miami for many years. And then, like I say, the Bills are just kind of weak as well. So I think the AFC East it's dare I say, injuries aside, it's almost a certainty. And then the AFC, I think Andrew Luck's the big factor. We'll see how he performs, but it's his first year back. And then it's the usual suspects in terms of Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and then Jacksonville, if that defense is the same, which it probably will be. But the path does look pretty the same as the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And, I don't know if I would say that I wouldn't put the Patriots in the Super Bowl as my prediction, but they're always going to be in the mix. You know they're going to be in the playoffs. In all likelihood, they'll have a bye. They may even have home field. Who knows? They're always up there. It kind of comes down to, for the Patriots, like 2 or 3 games in the postseason, and
yeah, you make it sound so simple what we've been doing these 10, 15 years.
I know, and it's not simple at all. It really isn't. And it's a testament to the strength of the Patriots team and the strength of the Brady-Belichick combo that, they do dominate the AFC East, for example.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, as a Patriots fan as well, like, you don't want to be cocky, but when, like you say, you look at the AFC East and the AFC, and you really struggle to find a real true rival, somebody that you are genuinely scared of, whereas in the NFC it would be a little different. But it's just quite fortunate being a Patriots fan at this moment with that. But just out of interest, who do you think is going to win the AFC?
I haven't given a lot of thought. I probably thinking Jags, actually. I think it might be their time. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the AFC is so thin that it's hard to kind of... If it's not Jags, then who is it? You know what I mean? It's sort of hard to...
Well, because we don't know what KC's going to be with Patty Mahomes.
Such an unknown.
Man, I just hope they are so good. I just want Patty Mahomes to rock this NFL this year. Yeah, I have to agree with AJ. I'd say the Jags. I just think that last year gave them that taste, and that sort of the defeat is that spur that young guys like they need something.
Oh yeah,
I think they knew they were good. The defense knew they were good, but I think the defeat last year sort of gives you that young person a kick in the arse that they really need.
Oh, definitely. I think they didn't just lose as well. I think they feel like it was stolen from them.
Yeah, well, look, as like I watched my son play tennis today, and usually I don't go and watch him because he doesn't like his dad coming and watching because Dad gets a bit upset. But I sat in the car and watched him, and it got to a point where I got out of the car and I put a firecracker up his ass, and all of a sudden he played better.
Right.
So that defeat last year was the firecracker up the backside that maybe the Jags need.
Maybe.
Because you do. When you're young, it doesn't come easy because the NFL's not easy. But they make it look easy. And I think sometimes you get not that you get ahead of yourself, but yeah, you do. Probably not the right terminology, but I think when it's taken away from you, that's a spurt that they'll need. I think that'll take them a long way.
I think the big wild card will probably be, I'm interested to see how Houston do with Watson back as well. And interestingly, week 1 and 2, we play Houston and Jacksonville.
Oh, really? Wow. What a start to the year.
Yeah.
2 cracking games.
Yeah, so you got Houston at home, Jacksonville away. So there's a zip and 2 start for the Patriots. This is good. I like this. Then you'll get a win at Detroit, Miami, Indy. KC will be interesting, except they come to your place, which is probably a good thing for you. I think I don't think you want to be playing KC away.
No. In Arrowhead. It's one of the hardest places to play. Yeah.
So your draw looks, mate, really when you look at it, geez, I wish the Falcons had a draw like that. I wish we were in the AFC. Seriously. But it has made it, look, we're not going to take anything away from the Patriots.
No.
But you have been in a division that has just lacked any competition for so long now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but yeah.
I said I didn't take anything away from them.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. Now, Tom, one of the things we've been asking guests is to nominate who they think the locker room guy is. So somebody that's sort of motivational, bit of sort of that glue inside the locker room, bringing everybody together.
Focal guy.
Focus everybody. It doesn't have to just be one guy either. It can be a couple.
Okay. The one that always jumps out to me is Devin McCourty on defense, free safety. The guy's been with New England his whole career. Came in as a cornerback, reserve safety. He's an all-pro. He's one of the best. He's such a team guy. And I think what he does in the locker room is just so underrated. Anytime you see any post-game footage or anything, Devin McCourty's usually got his mouth open. It's a similar thing with Duron Harmon as well, his partner in safety. And then if I'm having to think about someone on offense, without being obvious, you're looking at obviously Tom Brady. But I think this is an absolute humongous year for Chris Hogan. His agent's already come out and said that he's going to make him a boatload of cash next year because he's a free agent. So he's obviously expecting to play well, but not only that, this year we've already spoken about how light the wide receiver depth is. He's normally quite a quiet guy. Maybe he's a guy that will lead by example, but he has to step up from week 1 instantly just because of Edelman out and nobody else. So I'll go with Devin McCourty and Chris Hogan.
Nice. Well, Tom, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I guess we should let you go. We've had you on the line for a ton of time, but it's easy to... I mean, there's so much going on, and there's a lot to talk about, so it's kind of hard to sort of do a really quick Patriots preview. There's been some teams where it's been sort of same, not mentioning any names. There's been some teams where it's kind of like... Status quo. Not much has changed, and you kind of... But it's almost never the case with the Patriots, It really isn't.
No, I think the record is normally a status quo, but all the turmoil and the storylines and bringing people in and letting people go, that's the big thing with Patriots. It's just there's such a big turnaround every year, yet the end result is usually the same. So
as I said at the top, Tom, people can follow you on Twitter at ATPTom. That stands for Across the Pond. And it's the Across the Pond NFL podcast, and it is fantastic to chat to you, and you're also in some leagues with us as well, which is also good fun.
It is indeed. Yeah, likewise, guys. I love coming on.
Thank you so much for doing it. Is this the 4th year? Do you know?
It's the 4th year, yeah.
Wow. Because I have a feeling that we got you on like the very first time we did this, so that sort of makes sense. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember you saying that. It was, yeah.
Yep, cool. All right.
Excellent.
Excellent.
It's a lot easier to do this year than it was last year, to be honest. For me.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
That's tough.
It was tough. Okay. All right, Tom. Well, listen, we'll let you go, but thank you so much for your time and for joining us.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom,
Appreciate
so much. Well, that was our Patriots preview. Thom Marriott, as I said at the end there, great guy, fantastic to chat to. That's a wrap for Patriots.
Oh, it's good to get the Patriots out of the way, mate. Because really, like, no one's going to listen to this except Patriots fans.
Patriots
like, you
fans,
might listen to a few other teams, but let's face it, when it comes to the Patriots, everybody's going to switch off.
Well,
Like, I'm not
I
going to
don't
listen
know.
to this back.
You don't listen to any back?
No, I don't.
No.
True. I did listen to the Cowboys. I did while I was away sitting around the pool. I had to listen.
Good.
And people were looking at me quite strange. It was, it was a good laugh. And mate, kudos to you for editing that, because that would have been a nightmare.
That was a hard edit.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
But we're here talking about the Patriots, and no, it was great talking to Tom, giving up his time as he has every year since we started doing this.
Yeah, no, fantastic to chat to. So, all right. It's another one in the books, and as I say all the time, thanks for listening. Hope you're enjoying them. And we've got another one after this in about
20 minutes.
20 minutes. So, yep. And another couple tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah, we'll keep on keeping on. All right. On behalf of G and myself, I can say, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.